And now it's Deborah Kobylt Live.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today on Deborah Kobylt Live. I have a special guest, Dr. Frieda Birnbaum. So thrilled to have you, Doctor. Thanks for joining me. Dr. Frieda Birnbaum is a researched psychologist and published author. Her books, What Price Power, and also Life Begins at 60. We're going to talk about those, both of those. I love the title of that last one, Life Begins at 60. That
Yes.
means there's so much ahead for so many of us.
Yes.
You have a podcast as well. The name of the podcast is The Dr. Frieda Show, Pushing the Limits. You've been on just about every possible network show from 2020 to Inside Edition and more, because at the age of 60, I believe you had twins, and you are considered the oldest female to ever give birth to twins at the age of 60. That's crazy. I love it. Thank you for joining us.
I love being crazy. I love being different. And, isn't that what makes life worthwhile, to be your own person? So I had no choice. I had to do it. Lost a lot of people on the way, but what's the difference? 10 years later, everyone's doing things similar anyway. So keep
Oh,
going.
it's actually beautiful. And that's the story of your life, Doctor, right? Because you and I spoke off camera.
Yes.
You've always done things your way. And by doing things your way, people, I believe that's how we get to where we're supposed to be, right? If you always sort of go by the rules, I'm not saying destroy the rules, but try and find your own rules along the way, right?
You become more resilient when you have defeat. There's more of
Yeah.
a reason to fight. When you have it all, reminds me of my son. We have a nice neighborhood. People are pretty well to do. And he said, Ma, I feel sorry for these kids if they don't have to struggle, if they don't have to do well, because that's really the fun part of it. And it's true, when you have to go through whatever there is to go through, dilemmas in life, it makes you feel that fighting at the other end is worth it. When I was going for my PhD, I remember, as I'm talking to you right now, I was getting off the elevator, focused on who knows what, and this young woman comes up to me and says, don't you feel guilty leaving your children alone with a babysitter? And for the rest of my life, I thought about it. And I know that after research, actually, children who have mothers who work outside the home are more confident and have role models that they either marry women similar and they have a more equal relationship. So across the board, it was really better. But whenever you do anything that fits you, there's a stigma because other people have to question themselves and they start feeling uncomfortable, especially as a woman, especially the fact that my husband's an attorney. No one asked him how much he charges, what school he went to. I could have done the same thing. I hear this. And so women really step on themselves and they're competitive. And of course, I think I spoke to you about this. Women who are more accomplished are more comfortable and less manipulative. And actually, I did research on it, and it did show that the most manipulative women were the ones that had to prove themselves because they didn't feel that they were accomplished, and they're difficult to be with as friends. So we have to really look and see, what is it for us? What is the importance? Where do we need to go? What is missing? Because there's nobody ahead of you. You have to be your own leader. Even Gloria Steinem said she wished she had children. So what are we looking at? We're looking at our own comfort level, our own intuition, and where we need to go. I was supposed to be on the Oprah show, and it was one of the last shows in May. And then again, Donald Trump changed his mind and decided to come on. I was supposed to be on because of the babies at my age. He had a little baby. He was around my age on his lap that was his. Nobody spoke about it. Nobody said anything about it. So we're still in this place of women versus men. But as women have in vitro and they have opportunities to go ahead and pace themselves with their career and, childbirth, it's becoming a place where there's a comfort level for all of us. But society does have to catch up with where we are today. And I think I said this to you also when we spoke, that women have to be honest about their age so we can represent our age fairly. I was shocked at how the world actually was the world because I received notices from around the world, Africa, everywhere, China, whatever, women, and they were thanking me, not because they were going to have another child, because they said you know what? Life can begin at 60. It can be more exciting than ever. I'm not falling apart physically. I know who I am, and just to move forward. So I forgot where I was going with this, but the message really is when you see something, it's not only for you change itself. When you make changes, what is there a saying? When women make changes, they're changing history as well, because there's somebody that needs to be in front of you and somebody who needs to be able to take chances and to be different. And also, when I was married, when I was 22, so I've been married a long time, uh, I couldn't put up with the double standards. I wouldn't put up with it. My poor husband, who came from that time and what he saw, he really got stumped on a lot. And I was always furious about that because that's the message he received. It's changed now. So things are healthier and better for everybody. So it's not only me, it's society, it's the opposite sex, it's the children, how they interpret who they're going to be and what to expect. All that comes from being genuine to yourself.
Yeah, and it's amazing how far we've come. When you think about the housewives in the 50s and 60s, with the little aprons around their waist. And, for the most part, I think back to that time, right? I don't think women were particularly happy. Some were thrilled, but many were not. I know my mom always said to me she would have liked to have been one of two things: a lawyer or a
Ah,
ballerina or a
yeah.
ballerina, to which she did neither, right? She was a homemaker and she was a very good one. But I know that there was something else in her. There was something else that she wanted to be. Therefore, she used to say to me, don't have kids. I had three of them.
Really?
Yeah, because I think she wanted to be her own woman and wasn't allowed to be. Do you know what I mean? And she made
Yeah.
sure, absolutely made sure, that I had an education, that I could take care of myself. And I think there were a lot of women who felt that way. And thank God for the women who came, after her, and the people before me and before you, who have really trailblazed. You mentioned Gloria Steinem. I remember being a young kid and watching her and listening to her and not quite understanding what she was doing because of the news coverage around her, right? It would be like
Yes.
Gloria Steinem. And I'm thinking, uh-oh, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Oh my goodness. When I look back to what she did, or Barbara Walters, or so many others, that's the reason why I'm sitting here today. And you as well, right?
I think
We have to.
your mother had a big influence on you. And by the way, the fact that you were
Oh
educated,
yeah.
a lot of women who have mothers like yourself, what they do is they continue. And then what happens, and this was my research, that after a while, when they don't have a connection or in the midst of a marriage, they change their direction and then they become
Right.
professional, high status careers or whatever. But they don't go there. But these women who have mothers who were not happy, that's the big factor. If your mother was not
Yeah.
happy with where she was, then you change. If your mother was happy, you sort of go in that contentment direction. My mother was not happy. That's a good thing. So she always
Yeah.
said she could, you know what? I could have been a businesswoman. Now I see she was right. And then I'm thinking, yeah, sure. You're a
Right.
housewife with the apron, as you said. And she used to wear these dresses, whatever they were, and with pockets. And she was not really able to realize who she was. And at that time, it was very restrictive because of her background and her history and her religion as well. So we're looking today at where we're going. Where we're going is that women are making more than men often. There's 70% now, or yeah, 70% of students, college students, are women.
Yeah.
So really, it's turned around. So women are not dependent on men. And if you ever go to the gym to see how men are bulking up, I mean, my 16-year-old, it's like this. It's not, the trophy wife anymore. Isn't that great? So we're looking for something similar to what men have been looking for. Are you sexually compatible? I mean, older women, younger men are more sexually compatible. A woman 45 and a man in his late 20s, I hate to say this, or maybe I don't hate to say this, they're more sexually compatible. They're each at their peak. So we're looking more at those things, intrinsically oriented, rather than dependency because the poor little female can't make it on their own. That's passe. That's never going to go anymore. We're continuously molding and reassigning different roles for ourselves. And you mentioned some professional background, and I'm saying to you, a woman today, whether she's a neurosurgeon or a plumber chooses her path not because of her sexual orientation. And that's something that's very rewarding. By the way,
Right. And we have,
you have beautiful skin, by the way.
oh, thank you.
After talking to you, I have to bring that in because that's important, that you have done nothing and you look like this naturally. So women should know that they don't have to be Kardashians, which to me is kind of repulsive because that's all they do is sit around and make up stories to get you whatever interested. It's very sad. But you can have a quality of energy, excitement, purpose, making a difference at any age. Because look at you, it doesn't really matter. You don't have to sit there like a mannequin. Go ahead.
Well, it's funny when I started a podcast, right? Because I have three sons. And when my third son was in, I guess, middle school, high school, I thought, you know what? I want to maybe get back to doing news. So I contacted some people at the different TV stations here in LA. And then I thought to myself, do I really want to be doing a live shot at 11 o'clock at night at some crime scene? And the answer was no. So then I decided, let me start something. I love interviewing people, telling stories, people doing interesting work, particularly women. So I started my own podcast, and I was out to dinner with a friend and my husband, and she was newly divorced, and she said to me, Deborah, you're way too old for that. And I thought, I don't think so. I couldn't believe that and she was a pretty high powered executive. Well, a few years later now, the show has gotten recognition and awards and all that stuff. I'm not doing it for that, clearly. No, thank you. But I'm saying, I thought, what a ridiculous thing to say. Absolutely absurd. And just yesterday, I had a phone call from a very, very dear friend of mine. He's in the advertising business in New York City. And he said, Deborah, I need your advice because we're seeing that women in the middle to upper middle age category are the ones spending the money, traveling, doing what they do.
Yes.
We want to get into that space. I think we've really, really been making big changes for people my age, people older than me, and people younger, correct? I mean, no longer, I don't think, are ad agencies saying, oh my gosh, 50 and over, forget about it. I think they're looking and saying, 100%. They got the money, right?
Very sad. It's very sad that a lot of women say to me also, listen, you've done so much already. You've been on all the major shows. You've accomplished, you do. Come to Florida with us. I said, are you kidding me? I'd get so depressed. I'd be suicidal. Because what does one do after 3 days of being on the beach? I mean, what is there anyway? So in reality, you have to be true to using what you have.
To you.
And,
yeah.
And being who you are at any age. It could be, and today, having children and where we are in our lives can be any age. Like these women who called me and thanked me that they can go into new relationships. They can change locations, change careers. It doesn't mean, and even the word, middle age should be called peak age, because I found when I turned 60, it's the most exciting time for me. I was so revved up about life, that what I could give and what I wanted to do, and the energy I had was so stimulating, more than I ever had in my life, in my 30s, in my 40s, in my 50s. I didn't have that. So there's something really to look forward to enjoy the process, and to really see yourself as somebody who is not at the age, but somebody who is at a certain stage in your life. So these women who lock themselves into, and men too, into this retirement phase are often under necessarily achieving who they can really be and their goals. So, retirement should be redefining yourself, knowing where you need to go. It's a new time again. Women they're no longer sitting in wheelchairs. They're wheelchairs and rockers and wheelchairs, but they're both of them. But they're exercising. They're traveling. We're in a different phase, but we could use that as an extension of things maybe we couldn't be at a certain time, that we could be later. But when I see women, they're ageless. I don't know what age they are. I wouldn't know how old you were. And Barbara Walters, wasn't she fired from the show or something? Or she was a woman. The co-anchor did not want to work with her because she was a woman. And
it's so absurd. Look, that wouldn't happen today, right? Even when I was anchoring, we're talking the 1990s, and somebody said, my hair's darker. And he said to me, you're too ethnic. Nobody wants to watch news from somebody who's ethnic. And I thought, oh my gosh, you must be. Could you imagine some of that happening today? It just doesn't happen. Like so much has changed in just 10, 20, 30 years. So much.
Yes.
And it's because of women standing up and saying, no, forget it. Now, at that time, I was just starting my career and I did decide to highlight my hair. But my point is, what happened then really isn't happening anymore, including and especially about age. Now, I want to talk about your books. Let's start with What Price Power. What is that about?
Oh, that's about the fact that when you are who you are, it trickles down into everything, every other area. So if you're at home and you're in a relationship, if you're involved with uh, doing the things you don't want to do, you have to look and see, am I doing the things for myself that I want to do? Because I hate to say this, respect comes from within you and how people interpret it. So you have to represent yourself appropriately, the image that you are. Doesn't mean you have to let go of that image if you have children or if you're married or whatever that needs to be done. And that affects you making choices. You know, men often speak slower. They don't really worry about your timing. And women speak faster. They want to get everything in because they're used to not being heard. So the research that I
True.
did with 700 people, I'm looking to see what that was all about. A lot of women did get divorced, but a lot of women, when they went ahead and they fulfilled themselves in some area, those women were able to have a relationship where they actually had positive reinforcement and support from the person they were with. The only thing that I noticed that women who make more money than the men often intimidate other women that feel uncomfortable, and even other men too. So there's still a little
Mm,
bit of this disconnect with women making more money than men. But as I said to you, you know, they're more 70% of the students are female now, unless it's computer science or something technical. That's still more male oriented. But in regular
mm.
colleges, uh, that's something. So that's going to grow, and that's going to change the way society is dealing with that. So the book is really about who you are affects the relationship and affects where you're going. But you have to know that who you are is very much being true to yourself, not to prove anything to anyone. If you enjoy mechanics, or if you enjoy the fine arts, or if you enjoy being a neurosurgeon, or if you enjoy teaching, all those things define you in a way. Now, being a mother is extremely important and the most important thing you can do. But it doesn't mean that there are not other dimensions to who you are in your profession. And everybody needs a balance, a little bit of everything, which means business, nurturing, science, all that. And men need the same thing. And today, by the way, who has the biggest impact on the children? It's the men, not the women. More so, and they're becoming much more nurturing. So I guess people have to stop blaming their mothers in therapy and go in a different direction now, because you know, it's not only the mothers, to the poor mothers always doing something wrong. What, you know, they have to
Gosh,
revisit
isn't that
it.
true? No,
Yeah,
it's true.
yeah.
No, absolutely. Let's talk about Life After 60. When did you decide to write that book? And obviously, the goal of the book is,
Well, I decided to write that book because I know life begins at any age. And
yeah.
people would say to me, why don't you just write life begins at any age? But I wanted to
Hmm,
give a message that life is not over at 60. It's beginning, and it's a different phase. It's a new phase of who you are. And so what I felt was something that women who fear getting older have to look and see, wait a minute, there's so much to look forward to. It's even better than before. So I wrote about that. I wrote about my experiences. It wasn't necessarily having the children, but the reason I wrote the book is the way society looked at me. And I said, you know, we really need to
right.
relook at what's going on, because when I had the kids, I was taken into I didn't know they had this, a tunnel underneath the hospital. And so nobody could see me because there were mobs of reporters outside. I couldn't leave. I couldn't go in.
Wow.
It was so that they had a special switchboard operator hired just for me, and they had a guard at my door. what the hell did I do? I had 2 kids. It's about it.
That is insane. I
As
can't
soon
even
as I
believe.
had the
Oh
children,
my God.
CNN, ABC, NBC, all the shows, they're waiting out there. They're coming in. I just had the babies, I just had them. And they're taking pictures of them. Uh, I actually gave birth to my twins on camera because they wanted to show that I didn't have any kind of special treatment in any way. There was nothing wrong. And there were younger people that did have problems, that did have issues with
Wow.
childbirth. But there's something in me that felt that I had more going, I had more to offer than I did before. And because of that, I went into the media. Now, I've been wanting to go into the media, but with my practice and with some other things that I was involved with, I didn't have the time. But because of that, I saw, you know what? I don't have to be 30 years old. I can be whatever I want to be. And I've been in interviews forever, and no one ever has spoken to me about uh, why I'm doing it or anything. So that's really what it was about. It was about being exciting in life, and I can write about that. You know, life begins at any age and all the stages. But when you're 60, all the stages are combined. You can be 40, you can be 50, you can be 30. You could be doing the same things. You could be having children, you can be changing, whatever that is. You can have a certain sense of who you are. And when you have that sense of who you are, then really you're in the right place. Sometimes when we're in our 20s, we're the most lost souls there is. I mean,
Oh
we're
yeah.
supposed to be an adult. We're supposed to know what is your career. I mean, my 16-year-olds are always asked, what are you planning on majoring in? They said, Mom, we have 2 years to college. We have to know right now. You have to
Can I
define it.
say something? That
Yeah,
is one of the most insulting questions to ask a kid. My kids
yeah,
always were getting asked that. What are you interested in? What are you majoring in? What school are you going to? It's like,
yeah.
wow, first of all, does it really matter to that person asking? No. Do they really care? No. Are they being nosy? Yep. What they're trying to do, in my opinion, is they're sort of sizing up where that person is and where either they are or their kids are or whatever. Just stop asking. My kids couldn't stand when people would ask that stuff. And I said, just say anything. Don't even tell them the school you're going to. Find another school. Tell them you're majoring in, I don't
Parents
know,
have
what's that?
become more competitive. You
Oh my
just hit a
God.
nerve with me. You just hit a nerve with me. I'm sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt, but it's so true.
Mm-mm.
I mean, across the street, I had this lady who hired someone to take the test to get into college for her daughter
Oh,
because she found
I
out
don't
I
know
didn't.
why. I'm
It's
sorry. You've got to be,
ridiculous.
you should like have your fingerprints at the door when you take these tests. This is getting
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it's crazy. I mean, that she went ahead because parents are the ones that care about the colleges. It used to be you went to college, that was a big deal. Today it's what college are you going to? They're subbing up how much money you're going to make. Are you going to be good enough for their daughter or whatever? And that's their criteria about
Yeah.
one being competitive with each other. But my kids were in elementary school and they had an assignment and they had to draw something on this huge billboard kind of carpet, canvas. And, a little here, a little there, you could hardly make out what it was. Well, I went to school and it was such artwork around me, like professional people did everything. I was like beside myself. I said, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
This is what my kids are competing against. It's the parents
Yeah.
that are competing against. So I found these helicopter parents that are constantly competing with each other in sports. I mean, sports is a huge thing in school. And if you
Tell
don't
me
get
about it.
involved, like football, and my husband didn't want it because concussions, you weren't really part of the group. I mean, that's why parents sign the boys up. They want the boys to be macho, even if they weren't oriented in that direction. So the pressure today of being a child, after school activities are immense. What are you doing after school? Where are you going? In Europe, it's wonderful because they don't have after school activities. They leave early. The parents leave early from work and they go to school later. And the parents, are able to go to work later and that no pressure. And they have the highest test scores over
They
everybody
do.
in the
Hmm.
Swedish country. Yes. And why is that? Because they don't have all these other outside pressures and sources. Teachers are paid more. They're smaller classes. children are allowed to get up and leave and go to the bathroom if they have to. You know, if my son had to go to the bathroom, or maybe it was too often, he got punished. He had to sit in the cafeteria. Would you believe this? Because he
That
went
happened to me. That happened to
right.
me.
See
And
that?
but by the way,
What
doctor,
happened?
hang
You
on.
had to go
I
to
was
the
in
bathroom.
third grade.
Oh, I
I
thought
was
you
in
had to go to
third
the
grade.
bathroom.
You don't really want to know the story, right? But I was in third
Oh
grade. Okay, I'll
no.
tell you. Since you asked, I'll tell you. I
Yeah,
was in third
I
grade
was afraid. I'm
and
afraid to ask her. Go ahead.
I had to go to the bathroom. Now my maiden name begins with a Z, right? So I was in the back of the class because
I
it's
know.
alphabetical. So I was in the back and I had to go for like the third time. She would not let me go, but she made me stand up and do the math problem on the wall from my chair. While I was in third grade, what do you think happened? I went, as I was standing there and I was just
Sorry.
looking down,
God.
saying to myself, Dear God, please, I hope nobody says anything. And the girl next to me was very nice, kind of used my sweater, right, to clean everything up because she wouldn't let me go to the bathroom. I always remember that about her. And I thought, oh my God. So now whenever a kid has to go, if it's 5 times in 5 minutes, it's like, go ahead. I mean, no, you're right about that. But, you sort of jog my memory about
I
something that
never
happened to me,
respected
which was,
school. I never respected teachers. I'm sorry to say. I think that
yeah,
everything is very antiquated. We should do hands-on learning for what you really
yeah.
have a passion once you find out what it is. Then when you're older, then you can go back to school and study whatever you want to study. It's
This
never,
is true.
you know,
I call,
yeah,
I called the one room schoolhouse, right? It's like
yeah.
you have to be good at everything. You've got to be good at biology, but in the meantime, you're really a theater kid, right? You have to be good at like really proficient at advanced calculus, but in fact, you're a sports kid. You really don't care. No, I agree with you. So that's a whole different subject
What's the
altogether.
scary part? When I was doing gym one time, see, you bring up memories. I remember I stood in the back. I was afraid. But as soon as the bell rang, I was so happy to get out of there because I was horrible in sports. And
Yeah, yeah,
they judged you and the kids judged you, or you would be the last one to pick. How dare the teachers line up the children and
yeah,
have certain kids pick who they want on their team? And what if you're the last one? What does that
yeah.
do
No,
to
I
your
know.
confidence? So really, in reality, we should have school to build up confidence, to make leaders, not to have them memorize things that you forget the next day, and then go in the world and say, okay, now be a leader. How? What do we do? Who taught us what to do? Who taught us to be passive and submissive? And now you're
Mm,
saying go out there and know what you're doing. Who remembers what you learned? Nobody remembers what they learned. How
mm.
can you if you have to study something, memorize something? That's
Doctor,
my
in your practice, no,
yeah.
it's a very good point. In your practice, you primarily see what type of patient? I know that you are, very well known for relationship issues, but could you tell us?
It's interesting because as I went into different stages of my life, those are the kind of people I attracted. So when I was
Mm,
35, what happened to me was I said, what about me? I have children. This is it. This is what I prepared for my whole life to be a non-entity. This is the whole deal. So I had young women coming to me with the same problems, asking me, where am I in my life? Should I get a divorce? Should I seek something else? Uh, what do I do with myself? And then as time went on, I had women coming who were developmentally in different stages. And so I'm a psychoanalyst. So I'm not a psychologist when I treat people. You don't have to be at certain, obviously, because I'm not. So, where are you? And where do you want to be? You
hmm
could be in your 40s wanting a child. You want to change careers, whatever that is, or having permission to have a divorce. I don't think divorce is bad. I give people credit if you're in a bad marriage not to have to persevere. So those are the different types of people. Lately, I've been getting couples that are coming in, and I
hmm
noticed that if they're in a place where it doesn't matter what I say, they don't react. It shows there's no passion. If there's negative passion, that's good because they want to kill each other. At least there's something I can work with, you know.
I love that.
Yeah,
They
there's
want to
something
kill each other.
they want to kill each other. There's something I can listen to and something that they can feel connected to or make some kind of difference. But when they're like this, it's over already. So I've been getting couples,
Hmm.
and it's interesting the question you're asking me because more men are coming in than women now, and more women are
Oh,
having affairs than men. As you know, and it's sad because as you're out there in the workforce more, you have more. I don't know if the word is opportunities, but you have more pressure maybe to meet other kinds of people. Men are famous for dating their secretaries because, of course, the secretary understands the poor guy and she really knows who he is. So he ends up leaving his poor wife who worked with him through medical school and is all, already exhausted and wearing this old sweater when he comes home to this young thing in the office who looks perky and young. So he's on a superficial reason, and men are very visual, so they go in that direction. Or women are going more in that direction now too, which is sad to say, because when you have the right kind of relationship, it takes years, and the
Yeah.
best relationship is after years of being together. That's when the reality of in-depth connection begins. The romantic part, the first 3 years, that's fun. That's wonderful to have. It's nice. But don't worry if that's just a few years, because it goes into a different place of excitement, of not even having to know what the other person wants and being there for the other person unconditionally. Because you've gone through trauma, you've gone through good things, you've gone through bad things, and you're sticking it out together. Today, there are less people getting married, less people having children. And because one reason, women are making more money, they don't feel that they need to be part of that. But there's something about the marriage certificate that gives you a certain standards and values. So when you're together and you're changing partners because it's a flip of a switch here to the next online dating possibility, or when you're living together and the minute somebody says something, I'm out of here. But you know what? If
Yeah.
you're married, that's going to happen anyway. But you have that little piece of paper. So you think, all right, you know what? Maybe I should try. Maybe I should give it a chance. So that little piece of paper helps you to work through the marriage. And my mother used to say to me, I used to say to my mother, how can you remember everything your mother said? How do you remember it all? And now, things come back. And she used to
Yeah.
say to me, a man is like a broom at the door. This is her philosophy. Better to have one than not. I said, okay, she's out of her mind, but all right. But I'd have patients come in. I'd have patients come in, and she'd be standing there in this little house dress, her hair like teased up or something. I don't know. She looked like she needed a lot of work done. And I said, okay, Ma, you can go now. There's somebody coming in. And because I have my practice in my home extension office here. And she'd say, what are people coming to you for? They have food on the table. They have a place to sleep. What's their problem? Because it used to be you would get married for practical reasons. Somebody would have your children for you and you would bring in some money for food. And today, our standards have shifted. And, therapy is harder than ever because people really do have certain needs and certain wants. How much money is one of the biggest factors for divorce, because infidelity, well, that's a deal breaker. But money, because how do you want to spend it? I mean, it's a lifestyle. Fixing the house or going on vacation. Do you want to go ahead and travel with your in-laws? Do you want to spend your money separate from each other with your friends? Or what about seeing opposite sex friends? All these things come into play now that people come in and they complain about to me that they're not able to be on the same page with things that seem minor then are very significant because our basic needs are already met. And a coworker, is it okay? Is it neutral to go out with a coworker that's the opposite sex? Or shouldn't he be doing that? I know Pence, he would not let his wife go out with the opposite sex. Do you remember that? Vice President
I
Pence?
do. I
Yeah.
do.
Everyone said, oh, he's crazy, what a proof. But those are different standards that some people are comfortable. But I think as I'm talking to you, I'm realizing something. It's really not the standard, it's the person. Is that person making you feel uncomfortable? Is that person when you're with, I know a couple, they married, one of the man married the woman from the other couple that they were going out with, you know? So can you trust your partner? Is your partner somebody that's going to value what you have to say? That's important.
Well, also, use your intuition. People know.
Yes,
Sometimes they just ignore, right? They just
that's
choose
right.
to not think about it. They prefer that they think maybe it'll go away if I just ignore
Yes.
it. You do have to tackle things head on in a respectful way to someone if things aren't working, and you have to pay attention. I mean, you've been married a long time. I have as well. You have to pay attention to what the other person is asking for and needs. I know that we have that situation in our own marriage. You have to pay. I'm the one who's always talking. I'm like, are you listening? Are you there? So what does he
No.
sort of need to do? He needs to hear me, right? And I'm sure I have things that I have to do back, but that is a relationship, right? Where you sort of
Yes,
recognize what the other person might need. Before I let
absolutely.
you go, though, I do want to
Yeah.
talk because I'm very interested in women over a certain age really, really feeling like they can accomplish anything. I'm about to go to a conference this weekend in
Yes.
Vegas, and it's called The Influencers of Midlife. I'm so honored to be one of the speakers there, I have to tell you. But and it's not just about, oh, you could do whatever you want. It's about women doing what, you
Of
know,
course.
they're interested in and making money doing it if that's what they're choosing to do and how.
Yeah, I'm sorry. See, you bring up all these ideas. I'll be quiet. Go ahead.
No. So I want some parting words from you, from women who are maybe a little scared to get out there. They feel like they're not as attractive. I say, put on a nice dress, go get something on sale. You could go to a discount store and get something new on sale so you feel good about it. Um, you don't have to, walk in the room and knock them dead. You just have to have a thought, an idea, and believe in yourself and get out there. I want to inspire women that they can do that. I'm a bit turned off by all the women of a certain age who are putting themselves up and doing this because I feel like they're making other women feel awful. It's like, oh, look at me. I'm this age. Don't I look great? And I'm thinking, of course you look great. You just spent $100,000 to look great. I want to talk to women who don't feel so great. And I want to say to them, you can, because half the time I don't feel so great. You mentioned my skin. I actually have good skin. If I
Beautiful.
told you what I use, if I told you what I use, you'd laugh. I use
Yeah.
olive oil, like
Yes.
actual
Thank you
olive
for
oil. And I'm
sharing
not
that. I
kidding.
appreciate that. I looked at the
But
bottle and I didn't use it, but go ahead.
well, I do have, Mediterranean skin, so
Yes,
I
you
use
do.
it and
Yeah.
it absorbs it. But
Yeah.
my point is, I want to reach the women who feel like they can't get out there and do anything. So I want you to talk to them since you're the expert. What do you say to them
Well,
in
everything,
their,
yeah, I
go ahead.
appreciate that question because everything comes from within. When you look at Christy Brinkley, uh, what kind of lifestyle is she leading? It's all about the makeup and the hair and fixing and this and whatever that is. So yeah, visually we could look that age if we wanted to put that into it. But what you really represent is who you are. And as you said, what are you doing? That's really
Yeah,
what represents you. Uh,
yeah,
Today, what you're doing is something that could be way different. But if you're going to wait to get approval, you'll get nowhere at all. We need to
yeah,
look at the fact that moving forward, what about being the leaders? What about doing something that you're not going to be approved of? Think of something that you would do that people would say you're doing the wrong thing. Personally, I feel the more criticized I am, the more that I'm doing the right thing for myself. Because
me too. Me
people
too.
get
Oh,
people get
absolutely.
up. So we live in a time now that our fertility no longer defines us. Our
Yeah,
income is the highest status. Uh, we are exercising and healthier and feeling better than ever. So, what is there to really stop us? What is our excuse? There is none. Don't get
mm,
comfortable with the comfortable. The more you get uncomfortable, the more you're doing the right thing. We have to make ourselves feel that there is a cause for what we're doing and to be able to
mm,
realize that eventually that uncomfortable is going to amount to something. So don't try to look, as women have often in the past, look for approval. Because as you said, nobody cares. Everybody goes into their houses and closes the door and they face their own dilemma. Everybody has issues. There's nobody really ahead of you. People are waiting for leadership roles, and very few people take leadership roles. Become the leader, become someone so somebody else can follow because we don't have enough of that. And when you make yourself uncomfortable to be a leader and people criticize you, then you know that you have to say, get out of my way. I'm coming through. Here I am, no matter what it is, no matter what kind of situation you're in. And no matter who you are and what you've gone through, as I've said, to have perseverance, to be able to go through the depth of despair gives you the height of happiness. Only then can you know the difference. Only then can you have resiliency to move forward. With that kind of resiliency, you can do anything you want. So enjoy the fact that as you're failing and as you're learning and as you're growing, you're going to keep moving forward and forward. And that's the process of life. If you want to move away from that, then yes, you'll stay where you are. But life is to keep growing. Otherwise, what's the point? 2 years can go by, and so many things can happen. 20 years can go by, and nothing happens. So it's really the fabric of your life, not the time of your life, that really defines who you are.
Yeah. And don't be scared. Please don't. I'm scared. I get out there and I'm scared every day. I'm thinking, oh my gosh. And then I just say, oh, so what? Just go do something anyway.
What if you're not
so
scared?
What?
What is it? If you're not scared, where do you go? You stay where you are.
No, please. I always like to say that to people.
It's better to go grocery shopping every day and come home and clean the house. That's your life?
Not particularly. My husband does our grocery shopping, by the way.
There you go. So you have this balance. Yeah. That's the healthiest. No, if you're with somebody who does both of those things, nurturing and somebody who is aggressive and somebody who is oriented towards being productive, then there's this harmony between the two of you. So it's not just one-sided. But you used to be, this person does this and this. No, it doesn't. It's not working anymore. Women want much more. They want to be involved with the arts, with the sciences, with technology, with STEM, learning, everything. They're very curious. And as they keep able to be everything, all these different levels of who they are, they're going to make a difference to the world. And they're going to change history in a way that wasn't changed before. And we're moving in that direction. Hopefully,
we're moving in that direction. Yeah, and we're moving in that direction swiftly. I think that we've made so many strides in just a few decades. We're going to keep going. I always like to say, women, get educated, get involved, get in there. Don't worry about your hair. Just get out there and do it.
Now, Doctor, I'm having it done tomorrow, so.
No, but really, I applaud those women who have the nerve to let it go white or gray or whatever. It just doesn't matter. Just be comfortable with who you are. Just go be comfortable with who you are.
Who you are, yeah.
Whatever that is. Dr. Frieda, I really, really appreciate you coming on our show.
Thank you so
I
much.
love you back. You are incredible. You're brilliant.
Incredible. I can feel your power. I can feel your presence. I can feel your knowledge when you're talking to me. And you have that. Even when you're moving, because you're everything, you're everywhere. But that's very enlightening, the glitter in your eye, all that stuff. Is you're not,
thank you.
When we first spoke, I said, I'm not scripted. Well, neither are you. You're
very
good. You're sort of going with where I am and picking up on it and moving on. So you're going to do a wonderful job. You're really going to be an asset to this meeting that you're going to. Is it called meeting? I don't know what it's called. Whatever.
It's a summit. It's whatever. Yeah. Thank you for saying that, because what I want to do is really give people courage that they can do something, because so many women feel that they can't. And so many women, might say, yeah, but I just feel like we can. And no matter how awful you might feel.
I keep interrupting you because I know we have, but here's the thing. Women are always complaining that they're victims. Look what happened to me with this, and look what happened over there, and look what happened with this. But who cares? Nobody cares what happened to you. They care about who you are now and what you went through. My parents went through the Holocaust. I had some kind of physical situation that I fixed. My father was told he had 3 months to go. I made sure he lived another 25 years. But all these things, with his heart, all these things that I do for my practice, I've done for myself. Those are things to celebrate. Don't stay victimized. Don't, because you just perpetuate being a victim. Don't be comfortable that poor little me, somebody has to help me. Nobody's going to help you. You're never going to change. You're going to stay where you are the rest of your life. Be a fighter. Go out and get them and listen to your own voice. Finally, nobody knows except you. You're the only one who has the answers, and use it.
Thank you, Doctor, so much. Would you tell our audience how they can get in touch with you?
Well, if they want to get in touch with me, I have a website, drfrieda.com, drfrieda.com. I'm going to be going on my podcast, which is Dr. DOCTOR FRIEDA show. And that's about it. If they want to personally email me, it's again DOCTOR FRIEDA at gmail.com. It's been a pleasure.
Very.
Have fun.
It's been. Yeah, no, I will. And I hope that we get to talk soon. Maybe we could, work together someday in the future soon, because you're really very enlightening.
You know what
You're
would
enlightening.
be fun? You know what would be fun? Because you brought back memories I had a long time ago, and I just put it away because I went in a different direction. I interviewed women that were doing male-oriented careers, and I was going in different directions. To have a panel of women of all ages, not like The View, that have different, but to talk about where they are and what they're doing and why they're doing it. It's almost as if a little bit of a support kind of a group, because if you ever look on my site, and if you see that, you'll see the dynamics that women have and helping each other with where they are and how you see each other different to how you see yourselves. And it's about also everything that women are involved with. It's about their careers. It's about their relationships. It's about their children. It's about making changes or getting a divorce or possibly doing surgery if they want to. But the different values that different people have creates a lot of dynamics, because as you've said to me, then I'm going to let you go, women are not open with who they are. If you had surgery like Jane Fonda, talk about it. Don't keep it to yourself. We want to know, what do you do when you get up in the morning? What is your schedule like? How did you get where you got? Who did you use? How much money did you spend? The inside edition, inside scope. That's a good title. Inside scope of how.
I like that.
I like that too. I just said that. Inside scope of how women have progressed and what helped them. Who in their lives? Was there a mentor? Was there somebody there that made that difference to them? Go back and see, because we all need that. We all need to have that kind of path to go on. A path less traveled really is the best place to go. And that would be a lot of fun. Anyway, I love you. I don't want to hold you. It's already.
No, please. The two of us could talk for hours. I wish you'd be at this summit. Maybe next year. It'd be really great if you were at this summit.
Because I have, I was supposed to go on a book tour and I never went. But maybe I could Zoom with you. You could be there. I could Zoom. But maybe I'll go. Who knows what next year brings? Anyway.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
That'd be wonderful. We could help each other.
Well, thank you again. And everybody, you can find our interview with Dr. Frieda Birnbaum on our podcast, video and audio. You can find it on YouTube, Facebook, and then we cut promos and put them all over Instagram. We are also an audio podcast. We're on iHeart. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're anywhere you get your podcasts. Just put in Deborah Kobylt Live and Dr. Frieda Birnbaum, and you'll find us. So I very much look forward to speaking to you again, Doctor. And thank you everybody for listening, for watching. Please tell your friends, like us, follow us, be part of the conversation. You're not alone out there, ladies. I promise. Thanks again for watching. And